you.
We'll call this meeting of the Craven County Board of Commissioners regular session for Tuesday, January 3rd, 2023 to order. Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Mark? Commissioner Mitchell?
Here.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Howard?
Here.
Commissioner Hunt?
Here.
Vice Chairman Booker?
Here.
Chairman Jones?
Here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you will, please let's stand together as our county attorney leads us in prayer, and then please remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance.
Gracious and life-giving God, as we come before you this day in the warm afterglow of the holiday season, after joyful gatherings with friends, family members, and other loved ones, and a time for recalling the blessings we have received, we are mindful and grateful for the many gifts you have bestowed on us, both as individuals and as a nation and as a county, especially the gift of freedom, the gift of our abundant natural resources, and the gift of opportunities to pursue our hopes and aspirations. We pray for your continued blessings on our country and on those in positions of leadership and governance, especially this Board of County Commissioners. Bless all its members with wisdom and understanding to discern how best to serve the people of Craven County, to promote the common good, to provide for our county's security, and to work for justice and peace for all. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you here this evening, and we would ask that those in attendance, if you will, please let's make sure our phones are on silent so it would not disrupt this meeting. To those that may be viewing online, we also welcome you. Definitely everybody is an invited guest, a citizen of this county. We appreciate you being here, but definitely we want to recognize Alderman Brinson. Thank you once again for being in attendance this evening. Commissioners, you have before you your agenda packets. Are there any items you desire to add or pull from tonight's agenda? Here none. Do I have a motion that we accept the agenda?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Here none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. The first item of business before us, Commissioners, is a public hearing, Economic Development Project Hub. And this time I'm going to ask if we will have a few comments.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Jeff Wood, Director of Economic Development. Pursuant to North Carolina General Statute, Craven County, hereinafter known as County, intends to convey for economic development purposes a fee simple in plus or minus 12-acre tract of land, tract being a portion of Lot 19 in the Craven County Industrial Park. The value of the tract is $20,000 an acre for a total of $240,000, and the county intends to convey the sale at the same price for the same value. The county believes the proposed conveyance will stimulate and stabilize the local economy, results in the creation of a substantial number of new permanent jobs in the county, and result in increased tax revenues to the county. The purchaser, a business headquartered out of Florida with presence in Craven County, intends to use land to create a regional hub for their business.
All right, Commissioners, do I have a motion that we would open the public hearing? I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hear none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we stand in public hearing. Mr. Vice Chair, do we have anyone signed up?
We do not.
All right, anyone in attendance that failed to sign up that desires to speak on Project Hub? Thank you, sir. All right, hearing no one, seeing no one, do I have a motion that we close the public hearing?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anything else, Mr. Wood, before we...
I'll cover this under Department of Math.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Second public hearing we have this evening is for CARTS, North Carolina Department of Transportation, 5311 CTP Administrative Grant. Good evening, Ms. Guthorn.
Hey, good evening. The 5311 CTP grant is a formula-based allocation grant for rural public transportation projects. The deadline to submit a preliminary budget for the 5311 CTP grant was October 7, 2022. This is not the normal process for applying to NCDOT for these grants. Fiscal year 2024 is the first year of a major change to the application process. NCDOT experienced unexpected problems during the process, so that budgets are eligible to be amended pending the public hearing and approval to apply. The combined capital application does not specify into which grants capital projects will be placed. CARTs will be seeking to include vehicles which have met useful life, radios which have met useful life and not replaced using other grant funds, computers which have met useful life, and up to 4 camera replacements on vehicles due to equipment failure. Notice regarding this public hearing was advertised, and the information has been available on the CART's office, in the CART's office, and on the Craven County website.
All right, Commissioners, do I have a motion that we would open the public hearing?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hear none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Mr. Vice Chair, we're in the public hearing.
We have nobody signed up.
All right, any citizen that is in attendance that desires to speak before the board in this public hearing? All right, hearing and seeing no one, do I have a motion that we close the public hearing?
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion on the motion to close the public hearing? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. Item 3, Commissioners, is the petition of citizens for agenda topics. Mr. Vice Chair.
We have nobody signed up for agenda topics.
Okay, no one signed up for agenda topics. All right, then we will go to item 4, which is the consent agenda. Commissioners, you have before you the December 19th, 2022 regular session minutes, tax releases and refunds, CART, CTS, Trip Master Software Budget Amendment, Recreation Department has a grant budget amendment, Recreation, you have a donation, and then the Sheriff's Office has a budget amendment. Are there any consent agenda items you desire to pull? Hear none, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda A through F. Any discussion on the motion? Hear none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Hunt. Yes. Vice Chairman Booker,
Yes.
Chairman Jones.
Yes, thank you. All right, departmental matters. Number 5, we have public buildings and facilities, the court and EOC emergency response equipment budget amendment. Mr. Zach, good evening, sir.
How are y'all?
Doing well.
This past year, Craven County acquired a $200,000 grant from the Department of Public Safety for emergency response equipment at the Court and Emergency Operations Complex located at 411 Craven Street. Staff is currently in the planning and design phase for construction of a permanent flood barrier system at the street-level vehicle entrance to the complex's basement. This flood barrier system works to keep up to 4 feet of water at street level from entering the basement of the complex when assembled by the facilities team. Along with the construction of the permanent flood barrier system, staff is also acquiring proposals from vendors for a portable water-filled flood barrier system that can be used around the complex as needed, several portable commercial sump pumps, a multi-sensor camera on the building to monitor flood water levels during an event, and other associated equipment needed to protect the complex's basement level from water intrusion. If approved, staff will begin the procurement and implementation process immediately, as funds acquired with this grant must be spent by June 2023. The board is being requested to approve a budget amendment in the amount of $200,000 to transfer funds received in a grant for emergency response equipment at the courthouse and emergency operations complex.
All right, Commissioners, you got any questions for Mr. Zach or staff? Vice Chair Booker.
Jack, I read Zach, I say Jack. Zach, I read the information on this equipment.
Yep.
Is this something new, or is this something that's been proven? What's your understanding?
So there's a couple different scenarios that we had with water coming in. We're mitigating that in the main entrance, like we've been talking about. And over here on the side where vehicles are going to now park to bring folks in and to work in that basement level, this made the most sense with that ramp. So it'll be able to be driven over, so it'll lay flat, and then we will, for an event, erect it to be vertical, and it seals on 2 vertical walls.
And at the bottom. I mean, that's the critical part.
Yeah, so this stops it at street level, 4 feet at street level.
Interesting.
Commissioner Booker, I think your question was, have we looked at other places that use this material? The answer is yes. So typically where you have this scenario where Zach said you have a decline, you got a street level, and then you're going to subsurface. This is the type that works the best because it doesn't allow any water to go down that area. Now, the inflatable version, I think something Chad looked at and found for some other best case scenarios, Don and Chad, and that's more of a movable structure you can put up temporarily, like around the tax office. For
That's better for small infrastructure
right.
and small areas, but this as being you're driving down into a basement level, to stop it at street level is your best, and to seal it on the sides. So it's got gaskets on the side of it.
How big are these? I mean, you're talking,
16 feet wide is the opening, and the height of it's 4 feet, since it's at street level.
and that's enough for the vehicle entrance? And what about the water filled?
The water fill will go to 3 feet 6 inches.
Okay, so that's 3.5 feet, but what about width?
Those are 50 feet long, and you combine those in time together.
Oh, okay. And other organizations, municipalities have used them successfully?
Municipalities, Walmart as a corporation, infrastructure as far as like Duke Energy and those folks, they use them as well. So that's what they like to, so if you've got like a power substation, they'll go around it, stack them in like a tripod, and then that's where you can stop that water from coming in versus having this permanent system. So we're looking at permanent and temporary, permanent being the main focus.
Okay. All right, additional questions? All right, here no further questions. Do I have a motion? I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the budget amendment in the amount of $200,000 to transfer funds received in a grant. Any discussion on the motion? Only thing I will say is for our new commissioners and for those in attendance, there's a lot of groundwork that went into this to get us to today. It's been a long process. Chad, appreciate you and your staff. Sheriff, thank you and your staff for the cooperation. It's been a lot of team players, Zach and you and yours. So thank you for everyone that helped to get us to today. And so this is a positive step forward, no doubt. Any further discussion on the motion? Hear none, Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Hunt,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker,
Yes.
Chairman Jones.
Yes, thank you. Item 6 is the Economic Development Project Hub. Mr. Jeff Wood.
Good evening again, Commissioners.
Good evening.
So Project Hub is a company by the name of HDPE. They are currently in the industrial park, headquartered in Florida. The owners, John Bragg and Mark Hazel, started the company in 2007. During their expansion to come here into New Bern, Mark actually moved here. So one of the owners is a Craven Countyan. They've been expanding. They are in, if you're familiar with the old Committee of 100 building that's in the industrial park, it's a small 5,000 square foot building. They have been, if you've been out there recently, you've seen them continue to try to push their laydown yard, and they've reached max capacity. I was fortunate enough to visit with John in Florida to see what they had to do with their growth there, where they had to, inside of a small industrial park, continue to buy buildings to handle their growth. They've continued to grow. They need a regional hub and then build out satellites like they have here around the region. And the region would go as far as West Virginia, down in South Carolina. Think industrial use, mining, agriculture, utility-based, piping. HDPE stands for high-density propylene. That's probably the best I'm going to do in my chemistry class today. Very good company, very strong. They've really wanted this property for a while. We've been working with them on this. They feel like this gives them 12 acres. They'll start with a 15,000 square foot building. In your resolution, you'll see that they've guaranteed 11 jobs, or could foresee 11 jobs. In my conversations with them, they definitely feel like they're going to be able to surpass that. They currently have around 16. And one of the things I'm excited about is a lot of their suppliers as a wholesale distributor are international companies that they have some strong contacts with. They would be here tonight, but they're at a trade show selling product. So I like that. But beyond that, I'm willing to answer any questions to kind of give you an idea where we're at. Once, if the board so decides to move forward to put this property under contract, we should be able to finish the survey in the next few weeks to be plus or minus 12 acres. They're very flexible on that, and we'll sell it at that $20,000, that market rate.
All right, any questions for Mr. Wood? All right, Jack, the only thing I would ask you and Craig, the monies that we will get from this sale, where does it go to?
So a couple years ago, Mr. Chairman, the board decided to allocate any land sales into a fund, capital reserve fund for economic development for the potential development of a new industrial park. So I believe, Jeff, you've had about 5 or 6 sales in the last couple of years. All those sales have been accumulated into an account. And it was the same account that Jeff had some original money in that came from the Eastern region that was part of the global transport license tag fee. So we just continue to put that money to keep that fund going.
Okay. All right, any additional questions? All right, here none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Got a motion, to have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the resolution, authorize the county manager to close on the sale of approximately 12 acres of property. Any further discussion on the motion? Hear none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
Thank you very much.
All right, item 7 is carts. Ms. Kelly Walker Cuthel. Good evening.
Good evening. Our first item is to request approval to complete the application process for the fiscal year 2024 5311 Community Transportation Program Administrative and Operating Grant Applications and the combined grant application. Public hearing has been held. The 5311 CTB grant is formula-based allocation, and it is for rural public transportation projects. We are seeking to apply for both 5311 CTP administrative and operating grants. In addition to that is the combined capital application, and that does not specify into which grants the capital projects will be placed. NCDOT makes that decision, and I've already listed the items that are included in that grant. So we're asking permission to apply for the 5311 CTP administrative and operating grants, as well as the combined capital grant to NCDOT.
All right, any questions for Ms. Kelly? Hear none, do we have a motion? We have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to apply for these grants and applications. Any further discussion on the motion? Hear none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed. All right, B.
This is the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan. On July 19th, 2019, the Federal Transit Administration published the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan, or PTASP, final rule, which required certain operators of public transportation systems that receive federal funds under FTA's urbanized formula grants to develop safety plans that include the processes and procedures to implement safety management systems, or SMSs. The PTAP's rule became effective on July 19th of 2019. The compliance deadline was extended twice, with a final compliance deadline of July 20th of 2021, and CARTS did meet that deadline. On February 17th of 2022, FTA issued a letter regarding the bipartisan infrastructure law that was signed on November 15th of 2021, informing that it amended the FTA's safety program at 49 USC Section 5329D by adding to the PTASP requirements. New requirements apply to transit agencies that must have an agency safety plan in place under the PTASP regulation, which is 49 CFR Part 673. CARTS is one of those agencies. WSP is a compliance review vendor contracted by NCDOT, and they have verified that the updated CARTS PTASP plan meets all the requirements under 49 CFR Part 673 and the updates found in the bipartisan infrastructure law. The board has been provided a copy of that policy, and we are requesting approval of that plan.
All right, commissioners, you have any questions? Hear none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so I have a second. The motion is to approve of the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan. Any further discussion on the motion? Hear none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. All right, and C.
And that would be the Rural Operating Assistant Program Funds, which is ROPE. The NCDOT Integrated Mobility Division has issued a second allocation of ROPE funding for transit systems. Craven County is eligible to receive $18,145 in additional elderly and disabled transportation assistance program funds, $4,717 in employment-related funds, and $17,069 in rural general public funds. This is a total of $39,931 in additional rope funding. EdTap and employment funds are eligible to be used in both the rural and urban areas of Craven County. RGP is eligible to be used in the rural area only. Funds are eligible to be moved between programs, taking on the requirements of that program, except funds may not be taken from EdTap. We are requesting authorization for the county manager and finance director to sign the certified statement for the second rope distribution, accepting the funds, and approval of the budget amendment to reflect the revenue and expenses related to the additional funds.
All right, any questions? Hear none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second, and that is to authorize the county manager and the finance director to sign certified statement accepting the funds, and also for approval of the budget amendment in the amount of $39,931. We have the motion, we have a second. Any further discussion on the motion? Hear none, Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith. Yes. Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Hunt,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker,
Yes.
Chairman Jones.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Cuthbert.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. All right, item 8 is the Convention Center, a budget amendment related to the increased sales of adult beverages. Ms. McCoy, good evening.
Good evening. Welcome, new commissioners. For the first 6 months of the fiscal year, the Convention Center has successfully hosted numerous events, meetings, and conferences. Additionally, the Convention Center worked alongside Finance and the Information Technology Department to implement a point-of-sale cash register system and credit card system. As a result, adult beverage sales have been robust for the center. In order to continue to host events and meet the need of our clients, a budget amendment in the amount of $30,000 is needed to increase the adult beverage supply line in order to continue purchasing these products. The expenditure increase is offset by the increasing in the budget in the adult beverage sales revenue line to recognize the additional revenue generated from these increased sales. The Convention Center is requesting that the Board of Commissioners approve a budget amendment in the amount of $30,000 to recognize additional anticipated revenue and increase the supply expenditure budget line related to the sales of the adult beverages.
All right, any questions from Ms. McCoy? Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes. In your memo, you talk about point of sale cash register and credit card system.
Mm-hmm.
For our viewing audience, could you elaborate on what that new system is?
That system now allows our customers and our clients to be able to swipe a credit card to pay for purchases via at a different function or on our concessions.
As opposed to a cash sale only?
Cash sale only.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Howard?
And is the $30,000 being spent for these point-of-sale devices?
No, sir. It will be used for additional product.
Okay, additional product, gotcha.
All right, any additional questions? Vice Chair Booker?
$30,000 is a lot of hooch. Is that a one-time deal that'll allow you then to have an inventory level where you need to be, or is this something we're going to have to deal with, in your opinion, in future meetings?
I don't think so. I think this should carry us until the end of this fiscal year.
This year?
This fiscal year, June 30, 2023.
That's all I have.
All right, additional questions? All right, here no further questions. Do we have a motion to approve this budget amendment?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the budget amendment in the amount of $30,000. Any further discussion on the motion?
I have a question, one more question.
Yes, sir.
Can you give us a ballpark margin of profit when we sell $1,000 worth of alcohol? Is that 50%? What kind of a margin do we make on this?
Let me see.
I know it probably varies by product,
It does vary by product.
but just on an average, what would you guess?
Let me see here if I have it in here. An average bottle a $22 bottle, we made about $15,000 off of those bottles. And we've averaged, say one particular bottle, we sold 133 of those bottles, and the bottle is averaging about $22 a bottle.
Additional discussion, questions?
You got any insight into that?
I would just say most, your average alcohol sale is just about a 75 to 85% profit margin, and that's just any bar. And I just assume that's probably the same for you guys, right?
Yes, sir.
So it's largely profit if it's been done right. And I think
Yes, it's
my experience
That was
has
really
been
what I said, it is 75%.
80%.
So if our sales are up 50,000 and we put 37,000 of that in the bank.
We budgeted 105,000 for this fiscal year in just revenue off of our adult beverage sales. Right now, we're at, between July 1 to now, we're at 126.
And Tarsha, what was your original supply line?
30,000.
So for the 30,000 you bought, you made $120,000. I
Yes,
think
sir.
that gets to your question.
Additional comments, questions? Only thing I will say, Commissioners, you know, when it comes to items dealing with alcoholic beverages, I vote against it. It's my relationship with Jesus, and I don't look down on nobody else that votes in favor of it, but I just choose not to. So tonight I will be voting against it for that matter.
And I just had one more question
Yes, sir.
for Tarsha.
Yes, sir.
What do you guys have left? Is it like totally gone, or do you guys still have?
We have a little inventory left, but looking at, for this fiscal year, we had a total of 51 bars. That's future bars still coming in.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, here no further discussion on the motion. Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Hunt,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker,
Yes.
Chairman Jones.
No. Thank you. Appreciate you being here this evening. All right, item 9 is the aerial waterline relocation. We have with us Mr. Chad Strong and Mr. Elliott Thomas. Good evening, gentlemen.
Steve, do you mind going to slide 2? Just wanted you guys to have a picture of this as I get ready to speak about it. Craven County has been notified by the state of North Carolina that our letter of interest for the relocation of the aerial water line at Maple Cypress Bridge in western Craven County has been approved. This will allow us to continue on to the FEMA Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities National Grant Competition. During the state rating process, this project ranked 12th out of 125 submitted letters of interest. This project has been identified as a resiliency priority for our water system for many years due to its exposure to floodwaters as well as other hazards. This aerial water line could be impacted by floating debris during storm events, resulting in loss of service to water customers in a large portion of western Craven County. So this is the aerial water line at Maple Cypress. As you can see, it's on the diameter, I would say 8 to 12-inch diameter telephone poles that it's setting above the water surface there. Can you go to the next slide, please? So this is the Craven County water service area. You'll see the star up there. That's the location of this line where it crosses at Maple Cypress Bridge. You can see that this transfers a lot of water, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, water back and forth from the north to the south side of the river. Okay. Next slide, please. And this is the project location. This is the run-up if you're coming from Biddle Road and heading towards the Vanceburg area. This is the low area that you first approach as you're getting ready to go over the high-rise bridge at Maple Cypress. The BRIC grant is a 75% federally funded grant requiring 25% local funding match commitment. Our preliminary engineer estimates for this project came in at $750,000. And that's going to be the cost in order to relocate this water line and bore it underground. So it'll be completely underground. If this grant is approved, Craven County will be required to pay 25% of the project cost, which is $187,500. County staff has identified American Rescue Plan Act funds to be used as this local match commitment. So no county funds will be required for this project. In order for us to move forward with this grant application, the state is requiring us to provide that commitment notification in the amount of $187,500.
All right, commissioners, questions?
How long does it take to do this, Chad?
Depending on material availability, if everything was on site, 4 weeks tops. And
4 weeks to do the work?
The physical labor.
To do the physical labor, barring any complications.
Do we know if the material is available?
Not right offhand, no, sir. If I had to take a guess at it, I would say, with the way materials are right now, if we got the money today, got it approved to do tomorrow, we could be anywhere from 6 to 8 months out from getting material, at least.
Additional questions, comments? Commissioner Howell?
What I can understand, the 187,000 is from the county is coming from money that has to be spent for stuff like this anyway, and it's federal money, correct?
We can spend it on water, broadband, and sewer is the approved methods of expenditure.
Craig, you want to echo anything else in that?
Yeah, I mean, this is an eligible category of expenditures for these ARPA funds. And so, I mean, it's a very valid project. I think it's being brought forward.
And by using these funds, you're not taking away funding for any other project that we had planned?
Yes, sir. No, we had some savings on the premium payment that was done. And so these are just reallocating some of those funds.
Commissioner Howard, that answer your question?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Additional questions?
I would just make a comment that we start talking about supply of commercial type stuff. Yesterday I was at a meeting at the hospital where we were talking about some electrical supplies from a company called Square D, which is the major supplier of switches and major products like that. That product we need is not available for 18 months. 18 months. And if we give them a purchase order today, they will place the order, but they won't tell us how much until the day that it ships. So we're really behind the 8 ball. And I don't have any idea what this situation, but I think for the public's information, you know, we went through COVID looking for certain products, consumer products, that we couldn't find, and eventually now the supply chain is somewhat caught up. That's not the case with commercial stuff. So we can say, let's go, and that isn't going to change our decision, I don't think. But I just want everybody to understand that we could be a year from now until that the product you need to do the job is on site. It could very well be.
That's true.
I just want to make a comment. Commissioner Mark is not here this evening. Him and I have had a lot of discussion about this. This does go between his district and my district. Elliot, I think please correct me if I'm wrong, but we have this water line that goes here at Maple Cypress, and then we have the one at Streets Ferry.
Yes, sir, warehouse bridge.
And so without, when one of those are down, that could cause a big problem for the citizens on the other side of the river.
Yes, sir, it can.
And so this is a very important, as I think all of you recognize, infrastructure for this county's water system, especially for those citizens that live on that side of the river. So I personally, and I speak for Commissioner Mark also, we commend staff for taking this up as a priority and pursuing it. And all right, any additional questions this evening? All right, here no other. Do I have a motion to approve this and to show your support for it and the commitment in the amount of $187,500?
So moved.
All right, I have a motion from Commissioner Hunt, a second from Commissioner Howard. Any further discussion on the motion? Hear none, Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunt?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker?
Yes.
Chairman Jones?
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Appreciate it. Commissioners, next under 10, we have appointments. You have there pending. I notice here under pending, we also have the same one on the current. That is the Fire Tax Commissioner for Township 9. It was a vacancy there. You have the applicant of James Cherry who wishes to be appointed. Township 9 is within my district that I represent. I would ask the commissioners, I would like to nominate him and ask for he to be considered this evening. All right, do I have any additional nominations for this Fire Tax Commissioner? All right, hearing none, we will accept Mr. Cherry by acclamation. All right, going back up to pending, you have several others there, vacancies. Do you have any commissioners, any nominations for any under pending? Hearing none, we will move now to current. We've just taken care of the Fire Tax Commissioner. We'll move to Clean Street Sweep. Roberta Randall wishes to be reappointed. What's the desire of the board?
To make that recommendation.
Okay, we got a nomination of Roberta Randall. Are there additional nominations from the board? Hear none, we will accept her by acclamation. Commissioners, you see there the upcoming terms expiring. Please take note of those. Are there any other appointments to consider? Hear none, we will move now to County Attorney's report. Mr. Grady.
Mr. Chairman, no report this evening.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I had a question.
Yes, sir.
On upcoming terms expiring, are any of those folks hitting the 12-year mark now? Are they all?
I can check on that too, but normally when I move them up to current, I provide you that information, but I'll be glad to send an email out to everybody tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, County Attorney has nothing. We will next move to item 12, which is the petition of citizens for general topics. Mr. Vice Chair, do we have anyone signed up?
Yes, we do. We have Ms. Tyker Gonzalez.
All right, Ms. Tyker Gonzalez. As always, you know, Ms. Tyker, we give 3 minutes, and if you will, please state your name and address just for the record. Thank you.
Tyker Gonzalez, 125 Turkey Quarter Creek Road, Cove City, North Carolina, 28523. Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. In 2015, I began a process of writing new ordinances for Craven County, which included tethering of dogs and a much more in-depth definition of animal cruelty. It was a painstaking process in which I had to prove to this board that there was a tremendous need for such. Of course, along with the mounds of information I supplied to this board, including but not limited to applicable laws from other counties, surveys I sent to other counties, photos of animals in peril, animal attack information, and so on, I also looked at our numbers as a whole at our shelter, comparing them to other counties across North Carolina. At that time, I discovered that we were in the top 3 for 2014, 15, and 16 out of 100 counties in the state for the percentage of animals that we euthanized. To understand further, I went to our shelter director at that time and asked for a breakdown of the animals being euthanized. I was given a comprehensive list of each breed of dog that came through our doors and their outcome. In less than 5 minutes, it was printed and in my hand. That was how I discovered pit bulls and hunting dogs were our top euthanized dogs, and that feral cats were also a major influx. Again, all of that information was provided to this board. The media also began to report that our small county was top in euthanizing animals, and our health director vowed publicly to make it better. The following year, 2017, our shelter, for the first time, did not report any of their numbers to the state at all. Only Havelock did. Numerous times by email and phone, I tried contacting the then new shelter director and health director, and finally, in August of 2018, I received only the total number of euthanized animals for 2017 and a 68% euthanasia rate via email from the health director. No intake numbers for comparison, no separation by dogs and cats, no adoption numbers, only the numbers of those euthanized and the total percentage. I realize this may seem like old news. However, I'm in the process of laying out a case for this board to understand clearly that since 2016, when we led the state in euthanasia stats, our numbers and methods of record keeping have been inconsistent. I have met with numerous county directors on these issues over and over again, being promised transparency, explanation, and correction to no avail. The continued lack of irresponsible pet ownership is the bottom line cause of all of this, but it is our responsibility to make certain our information is being tabulated correctly and completely so that solutions can be implemented. Due to the continual mismanagement and manipulation of these numbers, we have lost all comparison in relation to the new ordinances that were passed. All of it's gone. He who is faithful in what is least is also faithful in much, and he who is unjust in what is least is also unjust in much. A copy of all the information that I stated tonight was given to Ms. Nan for you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other citizens desiring to speak? All right, thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. All right, item 13 is the county manager report. Mr. Vite.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, Happy New Year to you. 2023 has rolled into us here. Mr. Chairman, I came to the podium and I didn't know if you would want me to go ahead and handle the NCACC issue while I'm here.
It'd be fine, yes.
Okay. Commissioners, we were made aware today, and I think you received an email earlier, that former Commissioner McCabe held the seat of Regional Director of District 3 for the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. Obviously, he has not been reelected, so his term has been vacated. To fill a term, the 8 counties that make up District 3 have to caucus, I believe it's on January the 12th, and select a new director on the 13th, excuse me. On January 13th, they'll caucus to select a new representative to fill that seat. I called the association today to talk to the staff about what's the protocol for this. There is no real protocol. It's really what happens in the caucus. However, there is precedent in the historical representation list that was also copied to you that if someone vacates it, someone else from that county would assume that seat. So, Mr. Chairman, tonight you've got 2 actions. One is to pick a representative to participate in the caucus as the representative from Craven County, and 2, to determine if a member is willing to serve to be nominated during that caucus on the 13th.
All right. Commissioners, if we could handle the latter one first, of a commissioner that's willing to serve. Back, I think we said this was handled in 2021, correct?
The term began in August of 21, and it'll end in August of 23.
In 2021, when we had discussions about this, what we did is we called the commissioners and asked anyone interested in serving. Out of our board, there were 2 individuals that were interested. One of them, after doing some research and so forth, and there is one of our sitting members today, decided that they didn't have the adequate time at that particular time to fulfill it. That individual was Commissioner Mitchell. So with that being said, we went with Commissioner McCabe. He was nominated and ultimately was elected to serve. Commissioner Mitchell and I had conversation today, since she was the other nominee or other interested commissioner that we had at that time. I asked her today, would she be interested in filling out the remainder of this term? She said to me that she did feel like she had the time now to fulfill it. And so I'd like to ask the commissioners, since it was, I know, not trying to take away from y'all, but it was something that our prior board handled, that if tonight we might, I would put Ms. Mitchell's name in nomination for our board to go and to serve in that capacity.
You making that nomination?
I would make that nomination.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have if we could, let's take it as a motion and a second. Any further discussion, any additional nominations from the board? Hearing none, do I have all those in favor of Commissioner Mitchell, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So Commissioner Mitchell will be our nominee. Second question is, who would like to sit in for this caucus? It will be done remotely. Next Friday, January the 13th, it begins at 10 a.m. I sat in for the last one. I don't mind doing it again, but I sure don't mind somebody else doing it if you want to do it. It would not be appropriate, I would say, if Commissioner Mitchell did it, since her name's going to be placed in nomination. But
3 of us can't do it.
so y'all going to be gone.
Correct.
So if y'all, how about let's do this? If y'all will leave it up to the vice chair and myself, and one of us will sit in. Is that okay? All right. You good with that?
Yes, sir.
Clerk, if you will, please, Ms. Nan, make sure you remind us.
I will.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate y'all handling that.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Nothing else to report. Got an exciting week. We're going on a new commissioner tour tomorrow with Commissioner Howard and Commissioner Hunt, and Thursday. Look forward to seeing all the county facilities and introducing them to county government in the field. One day he's going to be in offices, and one day he's going to be out on the dirt looking at some of the construction projects, some of the things we're doing around the county. Next week, we'll be at new commissioner orientation in Raleigh for a couple days, learn about the basics of being a commissioner. You never get enough of that. So with that said, unless there's questions for me, that's my report.
Okay, questions for the county manager. I do have one or two, but I'll let anybody go first. Commissioner Howard? You sure?
It's more of a joke. I was going to ask, did we get a lunch break this time, Jack?
Maybe. Yes.
All right, Jack, we have on our itinerary here for the East Carolina Council Legislative Breakfast, January the 23rd. Since we are no longer, we have a seat on the board, I don't know where we didn't pay our membership fee. Tell us a little bit about what this breakfast entails and is, if you will.
So the breakfast is at King's Restaurant in Kinston. And for all the counties and cities that make up the eastern region, they will invite the legislators to attend. It's a little early, so it would be mainly forecasting what they think they're going to do during the legislative sessions, things they may have had carrying over from last year. Be very difficult to get any budget things or anything like that. It'd be a good opportunity to share with legislators if you had some priorities or things you wanted to talk with them about. Mr. Chairman, it is a bit of an awkward dance. We are still members of the RPO and the Area Agency on Aging. However, we are not a member of the COG as an administrative function. The director has called me and emailed me several times about our attendance there and would like to have us there. So it's really your call whether you want to.
So I reckon my main question is, by any of this board attending this meeting does not in no way say that we are back members or anything. It does not give the impression. It's just a meeting of counties coming together with their legislators.
Yes, sir. And I had that conversation with the executive director a couple weeks ago about our membership. He did inquire, and I told him at this time I didn't feel like anybody had approached me about rejoining. That it'd be something for future discussions of the board if they see fit.
So I think that gives us a little more clarification if any commissioner does desire to attend.
Now, one thing we talked about, and I'm not sure if it was with the new board members or the previous board, about having our legislators come in for lunch a little bit later into the session so we can get a read and let us develop some things between now and the spring. I mean, so if I don't want you to think you're missing out if you don't go to this, because I think we may have a more longer period of time here individually.
Well, I think that is a desire of our board that we do that, especially with Celeste.
We got some new folks.
Yes, getting there.
Our new senator, too.
Yep, Senator Perry. So, okay. All right. Thank you for that clarification. Anything else for County Manager?
Thank you,
sir. All right, commissioners. Yes, sir.
I looked up at Amber. Amber, we have our annual Employee Service Awards, January the 11th at 9 a.m. at the Riverfront Convention Center. We would hope you all could attend. This will be a 2-year combined effort since we weren't able to do one last year. So we'll have 2 different groups. And when I think the chairman was in my office when I was signing, I actually signed 2 45-year certificates for employees that have dedicated 90 years of their life here. So that's pretty unique for that day. So it'll be fun to be there and participate in that. So just, if you got it on your calendar.
Thank you. All right, commissioners' reports. I got criticized recently that I never let Commissioner or District 5 go first. So tonight, please put it on the record for that individual that was chastising me. Commissioner Hunt, you're going first tonight.
Thank you. I was not the one that chastised the chairman. I will just put that out there first. All I have is I want to thank all the volunteers I had out on Adams Creek Road this previous Saturday. We were able to collect 44 bags of trash, along with 1 mattress and various other large items of items that needed to be taken to the waste center. I also want to thank the city for helping with that, and I want to thank the sheriff's office for sending one of his men and a couple of helpers as well. So we ended up having 14 volunteers out there working for 5 hours. So it was a very successful day, and I look forward to our next one.
Wow, that's good. Thank you. Commissioner Smith.
I don't have anything today.
All right. Commissioner Howard.
I'd just like to thank Jack and his staff once again. Whenever I call with an issue, whether it's my issue or one of my neighbors' issue or anything in our district, things are taken care of really quickly, or it's addressed, whether that's, the ongoing Carolina Pines issue or something positive like we did with the new rec area that's going to be behind Carolina Colors and that conversation that was had. That was a 24-hour turnaround just about, right before Christmas. I was impressed by that. So continually, as needs of citizens come up to me or someone comes to me to ask something and I bring it back to you guys, it's just very professional, quick turnaround, and I don't always know that that's the norm in government. So thank you guys.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Mitchell.
I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday season with it, and welcome to 2023, and let's hope it's going to be a good, successful, and productive year.
Thank you, ma'am. Vice Chair Booker.
Yeah, the same thing. Happy New Year. Hope everybody has a healthy New Year. 22 had its challenges, and I'm sure we'll face those again this year. And I look forward to solving those challenges. How's that?
Amen.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you. The only item I want to address, and I reckon it's just to get a little frustration off, as many in Western Craven County have called me over the last few days. Christmas Eve at 6:30 a.m., our lights were cut out for right many citizens from Bosch Boulevard all the way down Highway 55, secondary roads to the county line. I have talked to staff about it. I have not got a clear answer, but I have been told by a number of citizens that have called me, because there's a lot of upset folks about it. Water lines that froze, busted, senior citizens that were out of electricity from 6:30 to almost 1 o'clock on Christmas Eve, businesses that were shut down. And we're being told that it was due to just cutting the lights out. There were no trees on the lines, nothing, just trying to conserve electricity. They did not share the joy, though, with everybody. If you're going to do that, I will take my share of it and do 2 hours or whatever. But there are many citizens that did not have to partake in that. I'm happy for them. But that don't correct the wrong that was done. I know, how do you fight Washington? How do you fight whoever?
Duke.
Yeah, Duke. You won't ever, but I just will state it for the record. I speak for my citizens on the western end that we don't appreciate what was done to us on Christmas Eve. We understand if there was something that happened, but just to cut the lights out, to cut it out, it was not appropriate. So I state that for the record. Anything else to bring before the Board of Commissioners this evening? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Stand adjourned.
Stay here by yourself.
I lost.